8, but 6 of them have been exempted because of some issues that crept up. And of course, it has to be resolved before the elections is carried out in those 6 constituencies. So at the moment, we have just 111 constituencies that are up for election. There are 20 of them who are going by popular acclamation, and so there's no need for an election to be held because they have agreed on who they think should represent the NPP in those constituencies. And we'll go into all that conversation and issues arising in some of these constituencies. But Duke Opoku-Mensah is joining me. He's our political correspondent. Good morning, Duke. How are you doing?
Good morning, Bella.
Yeah.
Another day, another city.
Another day, another wahala, right? But we're inching closer to December 7, 2024. Absolutely. And all these processes are important, especially for a party that wants to break the 8.
Yes, things are building up very nicely. I mean, someone was asked, we're having a conversation yesterday about why the NPP decided to stagger its elections. That's against the NDC, who did everything. Yeah. In May, they just did everything. All the constituencies, everything up until now, and then they have more time to look into it. But usually, sometimes for parties in office, you usually need, to study the process very carefully to ensure that you don't get into certain fragments that causes you to lose elections. For instance, if you look into the electoral history of the New Patriotic Party in 2008, they lost a lot of ground and steam. They lost a number of seats, over 40 of them, because of how they did not manage the process very well after, post-primary issues. Yeah. So that is one of the things that may rear its head. So if you don't have time, for instance, if you conduct all your elections within a certain time frame, then you have a certain time frame to do the healing process, to talk about unity and all of that. But if it's too short, people go up with certain pent-up feelings, skirt and blouse. That's when it comes in ticket splitting, vote this and vote that and all of that. That brings up certain issues. So hopefully they are trying to stagger this process and see where places where things are very heated, hotted up. They've decided that no, for instance, in Formina, where the Formina seat is what tips the scales in favor of the New Patriotic Party in Parliament. They've decided for some reason that it should be on hold. The second Deputy Speaker, Andrew Amwakwesiama, is the one who holds that seat. Properly speaking, he's an independent candidate, but he decided to caucus with the New Patriotic Party to give them that majority. Will he run again? Are there people in because the NPP, the NPP's constitution, the same provision that has been applied to the Alan Top 4.
Exactly.
That's people are saying should be applied to Amasaman because he's gone independent and he went independent because of that. He's not still a member of the party, and because of that, he shouldn't run. So all those issues have to be delineated and solved properly before it becomes something else. Together with some of the other constituencies. That's why I spoke to Ivan Sima, who was telling me that they want to engage in further stakeholder consultation and break things down and to ensure that before they have the election, all candidates and all stakeholders are on all fours, they agree on all issues before they go ahead to do that. So hopefully this part that the NPP has taken will work out well for them. But for the NDC, they can only sit back, relax, and look at what is happening, and the kind of candidates will come up, and then the strategizing will begin for December 2024.
I mean, talking about Formula, for example, so there were some aggrieved grassroots members within the constituency who were not too happy with the current second deputy speaker, and so they didn't even want him to associate at all. Question is, has he made any statement indicating his interest in joining the NPP again? It's different doing business with them in Parliament, and it's a totally different conversation wanting to join the party to want to run on the ticket of the NPP. Has he by any chance made any statements indicating such?
Well, for now, I've not heard him make any public pronouncement, except, rumors going around that he doesn't even want to run for the seat again. Yeah, we're hearing that. But for him to, but there are others also who think that because of the kind of value he's brought to the party, there are people who, I mean, looking at how he was treated, he lost his seat in the last election.
Yes, he did.
He lost his seat in 2020. It was in October 2020. He was lucky there was no by-election because of the constitutional provision, which says that you cannot hold a by-election when it's 60 days to the general election. That's the only reason why. Apart from that, Speaker Okwe declared the seat vacant. So if it had been maybe even 3 months before, there would actually have been a by-election in Formina. But thankfully, things happened within that constitutional time frame, so the seat was declared vacant. And then he went in and thanks his stars, thanked the Almighty to his Almighty God. He got and he became the kingmaker. So if you look at what he's done, even with him and adding up to the numbers to have the NPP majority, we have seen all the kind of difficulties. Even this week, over numbers, passing budget and all of it. So imagine if he had decided that, which a lot of people were advocating for, including my good self, that, I mean, now maybe I've changed my mind, but at that point, for the interesting evolution of our democracy, I would have wished that Amankwe Siama sits in the middle and says, hey, on every issue, I'll decide whether to vote for the minority or the majority. That way he becomes a proper kingmaker who will always be reading between the lines and maybe speaking the national conscience when the NDC and NPP are playing politics. But he decided that, well, this is my natural home, let me go back and give them the majority. So it's interesting this side. Let's see how the NPP will handle Formina, especially with Wuntumi also in the mix.
In the mix,
exactly. Who was accused of ensuring that he lost that seat in the primaries the last time. So Formina needs to be treated with a lot of tact and diplomacy. Otherwise, there will be a problem for the NPP.
Well, let's go to the Odododiodio constituency. Marina Egbeta is on standby, and this is a very interesting constituency, especially because of the gaffe that ensued. I remember when the president visited the constituency ahead of the 2020 elections, and of course he was referring to his candidates, but he rather mentioned the name of Ni Lante Vanderpoy, and then he realized a little too late. What's going to happen at this point, now that we know that Ni Lante Vanderpoy is not running again for this seat? Let's go listen to what Marina Egbeta has to say about this. Hello? Egbeta, good morning.
Hi, Bella.
Thank you for joining us via Zoom. What's the situation like on ground at the moment?
Well, voting is moving on quite rapidly. It started a bit late, as was openly advertised by the governing party. Polls were expected to start at about 7 a.m., but there was some delay, and so it started at 8, but that has not affected the turnout as 2 centers have been created and voting has been moving quite smoothly. And a lot of the individuals who've been interacting with make the case that with how things are going, they are positive that they should be done with voting by 1 p.m., where the expectation will be that sorting and counting can begin at 2 p.m., which is the closing time for the elections. There are 2 candidates, one who appears to be quite well known because of that gaffe in 2020, Ni Lante Bannerman, and then there is one SOA as well, also contesting the elections. We've not spotted him just as yet, but we've been interacting with Ni Lante Bannerman, who believes that based on the fact that he's contested 2 general elections already, he is a very well-known candidate and believes that today's exercise will be an acclamation rather than a voting exercise. Well, like I mentioned, we've interacted with a number of the delegates who will not say exactly who they're voting for, but if you come around and you look at the one candidate who's on the ground at this particular voting center, that's Ashiedu Keteke voting center here in the Odododiodio constituency. Ni Lante Bannerman is the man who appears to be going around a lot, doing a lot of the greeting and exchanging pleasantries with quite a number of the delegates who are here already. We've interacted with him where I mentioned that he said that he expects this to be an acclamation. He's also been sharing quite interesting thoughts in relation to voter inducement, and he makes the case that, look, when they leave their homes to come and vote for you, it is a part of the voting scheme now. It's a part of the entire process when it comes to voting in the country. And so the conversation should move from whether or not it is a good thing to how much it is that is being offered to the said delegates or persons who you'll be expecting to vote for. But as it is now, voting is moving on quite smoothly. There's a handful of interactions here and there, people having conversations and having those conversations quite loudly. I'm sure you can be hearing some in the background. But apart from that, really, all is moving quite steadily, and the expectation is that by 1 p.m. they would have concluded voting, and then they just wait for an hour for sorting and counting to begin, Bella.
I see, very interesting one. But you're saying that you haven't cited Ni Lante Bannerman on the premises just yet?
Ni Lante Bannerman. In fact, I've interacted with him where I've made references to some of the things that he's been saying. It's his other contender who has not been quite seen just as yet here, Jay Soa. He's not been seen just as yet on the ground. And we're looking out for him. It's quite interesting why he's not readily present on the ground just as yet. But Nilante Banaman has been moving across and interacting with the delegate, handshakes, arms, and the likes, seeking to reaffirm his position and the argument he makes that he is the best man to be able to wrestle the constituency from the opposition National Democratic Congress.
Well, thank you so much for speaking to us, Marina Igbata, and shortly we'll cross over to you again to give us some more details. But clearly you're seeing the dynamics play out there as well. Neil Antibanaman was hoping for an acclamation. That did not happen.
It doesn't happen sometimes, you know, at this point in time. I mean, he's been, for as long as I can remember, from 2016, he contested, 2020, he contested. It looks, Neil Antivanderpoel seems to be actually still.
Yeah.
Thankfully, he's not running again.
Exactly.
So hopefully this would be the time for him also. He's probably been marketed in the constituency for a very long time, from 2016 up until now. And hopefully if he should get his act together, this could be an opportunity for him to win the seat. But don't forget that the NPP has won the Odododiodio seat before, even though now it's becoming much more of a very comfortable seat for the NDC. Yeah. But they've won it before. Reginald Nibi Aibunte won it, has won it before. He contested it last time.
Yeah.
He didn't win the primaries. But this time around, he didn't throw in his hat. So hopefully Neil Antibanaman will be able to scale this one and then go head to head with whoever the NDC elects. Because the NDC is also in turmoil. Remember this week, supporters of one of them, Michael Yaboy, stormed the national headquarters of the NDC because he's been disqualified. And so there is a lot of turmoil in the NDC. And this is what you would like to see if you're on the opposite side. I hope to keep your house in order and capitalize on it during the national election. So Odododiodio all to play for.
Definitely, and we're looking out for the election results in that constituency. But Ibrahim Tanko is joining us from Bawku Central, where voting is underway. Hello, good morning, Ibrahim.
Good morning. This is Tanko.
Ibrahim, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Tanko, pardon me, but I can barely hear you. You'll have to unmute yourself if you're muted. Well, Tanko is joining us from Bawku Central. I'm not sure we can hear him. Should we try one more time? Okay, we'll try and connect with him again and see what the situation is like on ground there as well. But let's take a look at some of the issues that have come up. Again, going back to the likes of Okanko North, for example, Fusaini Issa had spoken, and his supporters are indicating, alleging that Mamidokwa has brought in certain people who are not from the constituency to vote on her behalf.
You resolve these issues by simply going to the album. If the people they've brought on are not on the album, they cannot vote. The album is the voters' delegate list. This is not like a national election where anybody with a voter's ID can go in and vote, right? But of course, the Okanko North constituency, to me, easily is the hottest in terms of the stakes, you know, in the greater Accra region when it comes to the races and the competition here.
Why that?
Because of the personalities involved.
Okay.
So there's Hussein Issa, who's trying to come back. He lost that seat to Teresa Awuni, who was the MP, by less than 1,000 votes. He's trying to come back. So he's there, doing everything possible to put his name up again on the ballot. And then there's Dukua, who is doing something that is has not been done historically before. In terms of, it's been done before. Boniface did it. Boniface Abubakar was MP for Salaga.
Yeah, and then he moved.
And then he moved to Greater Accra region and he won. Yeah. But for you to move, even Boniface, he wasn't a sitting MP when he did that move.
Yeah.
But she is a sitting MP for Ikropon, that's Ikuapem North, has decided that, I mean, and this is something political scientists may want to research into, and psychologists, has decided that she will not run anymore as a sitting MP for that constituency and move to a nearby, Greater Accra region, to Okanko North, to try and, stake a claim there. And then there is Efia Koto, who is from Maslock, and backed with all the Maslock funding. I'm not alleging any wrongdoing because I don't have the evidence. Yeah. But Maslock is a very, very well-resourced place. Her former boss, that is Steve Namwa, who is now Deputy Trade Minister, from Maslock, beat the incumbent Kennedy Kankam, and is now in Parliament. So he's also hoping to do that, right? So Efia Koto is also in the running. And then there's Kenneth Kranchi. Kenneth Kranchi has been running he ran with Fusaini Issa the very first time in 2016. Fusaini beat him, ran the last time, and he's in here again. So you have these four personalities with all this mixing, with all these dynamics, trying to clinch the ticket to go and meet Teresa Oni, who's won the seat for the very first time for the NDC, in the 2020 election.
Yeah.
So the stakes are high. So you would expect that everybody would want to tip the scales in their favor. And this is where those who are supervising the election, I'm talking about the party executives, would have to put their foot on the ground and ensure a fair playing field. As for the issue about bringing in aliens or people who are not there to come and vote, if their name is not in the delegates list, they can't vote.
Then they can't.
And if people who are outside the constituency have found their names or have their names on the delegate list, then you, the candidate, is to blame.
Exactly.
Because it is for a reason why they give the album or the voters list to you days before, or sometimes even weeks before. In the case of the presidential primaries, it was given to them a month before.
Before that, yes.
So if you've slept on the job, drooled, snored and dozed off, and you did not fish out these people that this guy is not a polling station here, he's not an electoral area coordinator here, he's not a delegate, so take the name out. You didn't challenge it. And on the voting day, you expect magic to happen.
Well,
Obviously.
Hussein Issa says that this is the 4th time he's running to represent the NPP in that constituency, and that alone is enough to garner the experience that is required for any member of the NPP to win that seat. And in his case, this would be another chance for him to go back into Parliament. So let's see how that goes. But let's go back to Bolgatanga Central, where Tanko is on standby. Hello, good morning, Tanko.
Good morning, Bella.
Thank you for joining us. What is the situation on ground?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm currently at the Upper East Regional House of Chiefs, where the Bawku Central NPP parliamentary primary is underway. We have 794 delegates who are expected to cast their vote for 3 aspirants. That is Figo Awaneka, who is the regional secretary. We have Bawa Agana, and we have one of them called Abiyu. So currently, the vote is underway. It's very peaceful. Earlier on, I spoke with the NPP secretary, who is also contesting. He indicated that Adentan is a threat to him, and then I also spoke to the other. I have with me back again. I have with me the NPP regional secretary, who is also an aspirant. You are welcome to TV3.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So tell us, how did the campaign so far?
Well, the campaigns have been very tiring. Months of campaigning, crisscrossing a very large constituency like Bawku Central. It hasn't been easy, combining that with my professional work and that of party activities. As you rightly introduced me, the regional secretary. It's been very tiring. Very tiring.
So today, the DD, what are your expectations?
Well, I'm expecting nothing less than an emphatic victory. Emphatic.
Yeah, NPP has never won the Bawku Central before. You indicated earlier that you are a threat to Adentan in case you win. Why?
Well, just check around town. By the mention of Figo, you see that the NDC feel that yes, you can see the fever in town. But Isaac, for the past 7 years, hasn't done anything meaningful within the constituency. Very poor human relations, but you see he sits in national television to say all sorts of things.
All right, Tanko.
All that the people of Bawku
Okay, Tanko. Well, thank you so much for speaking to us and, of course, giving us some details as well with regards to Bawku Central. And this is also going to be keenly contested to an extent because this is Isaac Adongo's constituency. Yes. Of course, the NPP has not really made any headway in that constituency, but whoever they choose today could be a deciding factor. Out of the 3 who are running for Bawku Central, do you see any one of them being that force against him? And we have Nyaba Abilio Rofil, Agania Biawa Rashid, and Elvis Atia Awonekai.
Maybe from where I said, but none of the names ring a bell, maybe on a national scale. But all politics is local, so they could have done a lot of work in their constituencies hoping for that. But with the kind of gravitas Adongo has on the national level and the national scale, and with the way the NDC faithful trust him, and with the kind of natural affinity the people in that constituency have, and they've been voting for, it's more or less like a safe seat for the NDC. Whoever wins today will have a very tall, his work will be cut out for him. It will be a Herculean task to try and beat Adongo there. But of course, in politics, never say never. Anything at all can happen.
Anything can happen. Yeah. Let's take a look at the forerunners in this.
Absolutely.
This is also a very important conversation to have, looking at the fact that they occupy, at the moment, some positions in government, in the current government. Yeah. And there has been conversation about the fact that, because the president is going out of power, they're also looking for some safe haven to ensure that they are still represented
It was always an interesting conversation to have. One, is it because of the fact that they would want some security of tenure. Don't forget that in the run up to the 2020 election, there were a lot of people as well who did that switch. So you can talk about the likes of Stephen Amwa, who was head of Maslock, decided to contest. He won, and he's in parliament now. You can talk about Farouk. Farouk was director of procurement at Cocoa Board. Well, you may not be necessarily a government position, but we all know the kind of strengths he can pull. So he went on, contested another government official, a deputy head of Maslock at the Abiba Tashani in Yendi, and won and got into parliament. Asensu Boache was chief of staff deputy, contested Bantama against my late former good friend Ochama Boache. There were even apologies, public apologies, and kneeling down and the rest. But with the might of the presidency behind him, he won. Abu Janapo, same thing. Against he was acclaimed.
Yes,
he was acclaimed, more or less like Sami Oku is going to be acclaimed today. He was acclaimed, and he went on, and he's in parliament. So I mean, that was not a time when the president was leaving, but always the mindset with the government appointments is that you are hired and fired at the behest of the appointer.
Yeah.
So today the appointer may not be really happy with the job you've done and say, hey, go, you've lost. But if you manage to find yourself in parliament, you have a secure tenure for 4 years, and depending on your output, you can get another 4 years and even build a parliamentary career out of it. So when you're in that position, you're always thinking about the next steps to try and see how you're going to, for instance, represent your people, get into that and all. And this it even happened under the NDC. Blackwell was deputy minister. He managed to make that transition to become, a member of parliament and all of that. So there's all of these dynamics that influence people into getting that. So, but it becomes much more pronounced when the party is moving, when the tenure of a president is ending and another one is going to come, just like we have. So you have a lot of them going, in the likes of Jefferson Saki, Eugene Ahin, all the two comms people, main and deputy, they are all going. Then you have the secretary of the chief of staff, Harriet, also going. You have so many. Okoboy, I mean, he's trying to.
Well, in his case, I mean, this is a comeback that he's trying to stage.
He's trying to make a comeback. The minister, OT regional minister, he's trying to also get into parliament. And a number of them, trying to, I mean, work things out. There's Pius Ajide in a soldier man, who is also trying to move from the, he's contested in a constituency in the voter, I think, Ketu North. But this time I decided to find his eastern region roots in Sojaman and make a bid for it. There is Nana Broko Asare, who's at the Premier Secretariat. So if you take a look at the 111 constituencies and the names, all of that, Catherine Afeku, was trying to make a bid to come back. Maybe not, because there are some issues in a constituency as where the voting is going to happen, whether it's been cancelled or it's been put on hold and all of that. So all of these dynamics matter. And at the end of the bottom line is, let's get into parliament and get some sort of a certain secured tenure to be able to practice our politics and serve our people. So that's really what happens. And I think we have a list of some of these people, and if we would like to, producers can help us to go through them one after the other with our audience. Yeah.
Well, maybe we should at this point, if we can project some of them and take a look at exactly what to do, what to expect. But while we're looking at that, we can start with Lejokuku, for example, and talk about Okuboy and the fact that he also is facing stiff competition at this point from even a presidential staffer at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, and it speaks to the Lejokuku has always been, it's one of the seats that you can. It's more or less like where Clote Colin now it looks more or less like looking comfortable because of Zaneto. But it's also Clote Colin was also like that with I mean, the late David Lamte at a point. What's this guy? Ajay is a councillor. There's another gentleman in Clote Colin politics who might have, the name skips me a bit at the moment. But for Lejokuku, and it's a place where, interestingly, you have. They are changing MPs at almost every point.
They don't maintain. Because if you give Gary without, water or sugar,
is that your home constituency?
That's my constituency. I mean, I remember when Dr. Okuboy lost, and there were questions being posed to some of the voters to find out why they didn't vote against him. They were complaining that he wasn't coming for funerals. He was sharing Kojemo and things. And he was sharing some items without Okolu and things.
Man, I heard about.
They said it's nobody's land.
He was deputy minister, and I like that kind of mindset, really, because from Nole to Ediakita to the Miss Ghana, Benita.
Yeah, Benita, yes.
Benita, to then to Okoboy, and then now there's Benaiku. And I mean, I was in the constituency this week to do a report for news, and I had all sorts of.
What did you hear? Tell us. what did you hear?
Hey,
okay. Well, hold on. Just hold on. Let's go to Bawku Central constituency, where Grace Hamwa Ajuman is on the line, and there are allegations of vote buying. So let's get those details, because those are the videos that you're seeing on screen at the moment. But Grace will be the best person to tell us exactly what we're looking at and what has happened. Grace, thank you for joining us. Hello, Grace. Grace, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome.
I can hear you.
All right. So you're reporting that some delegates have been sharing money, across the board. Tell us more about that.
Yes, so Bella, there are 4 contenders here in the election. The Deputy Director of Communications at the Presidency, Jefferson Saki. There's also a first-timer businessman who is also going. His name is Colin Samwako.
Yeah.
And then there's one candidate this is his third time. He is Ebenezer Mina Aite. And so when you are a delegate and you finish voting and you come out, you are greeted with envelopes that are branded with Colin Samwako's pictures. And inside that envelope is money. Bella, and they are doing it in the full glare of everybody. All you need to do is to go and vote, come out, and then you receive your envelope. In fact, the candidate himself is the one carrying the box that contains the money and is sharing it out to delegates.
Sorry.
Just come and tell him that you voted for him, and then you receive yours. We have been trying to...
Grace, hold on. You're saying that Colin Samwako himself, himself, is the one that's holding the box with the money?
Holding the box, yes. Carrying the box with his men, and then dishing the envelopes out to delegates who claim have voted for him.
Okay. How much is being given to these delegates?
Yes, so from our check, some are receiving between 300 cedis and 1,000 Ghana cedis.
And this is being done in the full glare of the public. There are security personnel there. Have they seen this, and what are they doing about it? Grace, can you hear me? Unfortunately, there you are.
I can hear you.
I'm asking that, you're saying that this is happening in the full glare of the public. Now, there are security personnel who are manning the polling center. Have they seen this, and what are they doing about it?
They have seen what is going on. They are concentrating on the election area. So a bit away from the election area is where the vote buying is ongoing. And I don't see any of them even around that place. That area is just have been left for the candidates and the delegates, and they are going about doing their own thing. Some of them are cooking all sorts of meals here, from fufu to rice to banku to everything you can think of. Just go and cast your ballot, come and feed yourself, take your money, and then if you want to go home, you go. If you want to stay around, then you stay here. And to think that the election is happening at the police barracks, the Odododiodio police barracks, and all of this is also going on.
This is worrying. Have you been able to speak to Collins Amwa directly on this?
Come again, please.
Have you been able to speak to Collins Amwa directly on this matter?
So we tried engaging him, and one of his agents told us that vote buying has come to stay in Ghana's election. So we should brace ourselves and accept. Personally, he hasn't responded to us, but one of his agents told us that vote buying has come to stay in Ghana's election. So we brace ourselves and accept it.
I see. Well, thank you so much for the update. And, well, this is on screen. I do hope that the security personnel are watching this and will do something about it.
Yeah, and they will do something.
Because this is worrying. But then it takes me back, and, you know, we saw things like this happen. But, again, let me just mention her name. So it was during the NDC primaries where Juliana Kinan was seen sharing money and throwing it, from the top of her car and stuff. And they're saying that this has come to stay. So we might as well brace ourselves for it. Are we not learning anything from the mistakes made by some other delegates?
Well, I mean, I would be interested in finding out how many people were, how many delegates are there. So if it's averagely spending 1,000 cedis on every delegate, I mean, we're looking at the maximum, the very top of it. that could be, even if there are 1,000 delegates and he's paying 1,000, that's quite some money, over 100,000 there.
Where is he getting the money from?
That's the question. They say he's a businessman. And there's a lot of bars around him, actually. I was at his during the vetting. They call him Ojana. Ojana. So I don't know why they call him Ojana. So, and I mean, he's very quite diminutive figure, and he seems to have a certain rapport. But I'm saying cash one, so he's, but that does not justify this in any way. It's not the best. You see, if the president that the special prosecutor set with that DCE nominee in the Ashanti region, when he was seen distributing money and later taking back his money from people with video evidence, the special prosecutor got into the matter, and that matter is still pending with him. Why can he not be? I mean, of course, we know he's on a certain path with the judiciary right now, but this is also corruption and perception of corruption. These are politically exposed persons, so maybe he should be looking at that. But I think that it's wrong, especially when it's being done in the full glare of the public and some of his aides justifying it. It's not right. I mean, in the guidelines, it's very clear there. You shouldn't be giving money. You shouldn't be camping delegates. You shouldn't be. But whatever is going on, let's see if whatever he's doing will bear fruit. Will he win the seat? The favorites, the top favorites according to bookmakers, are Jefferson and Gilbert. Ebenezer Nina,
the former MP for the constituency.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, if he's able to buy his way through, that's another thing. But I think the special prosecutor should take judicial notice of this, just as he did with the DCE nominee in the Ashanti region, who also gave monies and later on went to demand his money.
Their money's back. Some gave and they lost.
Yeah.
Well, let's go to Asawase Central. Well, Asawase North. That is where George Queenin is also on standby. Good morning, George.
Good morning, Bella.
All right, and George is joining us via Zoom. What can you report?
Yeah, good morning. Good to have you. And I'm coming to you live from Mother and Child here at Mabubi in the Greater Accra region. And of course, this is where the Asawase North constituency election is taking place. And some 672 delegates are expected to cast their vote. And that's at 10:20, 216 have done that. And from 6 to now, it's been a peaceful election according to the municipal director of elections here. And as you can see, voting is underway. And here is considered one of the strongholds of the NDC. And so we'll take, some sort of great work from the real NPP to snag this seat from the NDC. And some three aspirants are contesting this very primaries. And if you look at 2012, 2016, and 2020, because this very constituency was carved out of the Asawase East constituency. So from 2012, 2016, and 2020, all the elections here have gone in the favor of the NDC. And I would want to talk to the Municipal Director of Elections. Apostle, I just want to talk to Apostle, and he says he's coming. And so this very constituency is made up of the communities, including Mamobi, Kotubabi, parts of Pig Farm, and that of Accra New Town. Like I said, it's a stronghold of the NDC, and so we require more work from the NPP to retain this very seat.
Okay, George. Well, we'll come back to you again so you can give us further details on this. But let's go over now to Evelyn. Well, okay, let's talk about the Adentan constituency, which is a swing constituency, by the way. And so in 2004, the NPP's Kojo Parry Hammond won. And then in 2008, Kojo Edu Asari of the NDC won. The NDC won again in 2012 with Emmanuel Ni Ashimore, a very popular one at that. And then in 2016, Yabuabia someone who is now a non-member of the NPP, yes, a member of the Movement for Change. He won it on behalf of the NPP. There were concerns about whether he'd be able to retain it to break that cycle of not having, the same person win. But he couldn't do that. In 2020, he went to Mohammed Adamu Ramadan, who, by the way, will be representing the NDC come the 2024 elections. And so the question then will be, who would be representing the NPP in the Adentan constituency? And of course, we have the likes of the Deputy CEO, Akosua Menu, of the National Youth Authority, also representing as well.
Another person. Another one making a switch from a government appointment to try and go into parliament. Adenta has always been, Adenta is cosmopolitan, Adenta is sophisticated, Adenta is elite, Adenta has all the shades, And it's quite, the Adenta jinx, nobody's been able to break it so far. If the NPP should win back the seat, then the tradition goes on. Nobody runs for more than a term. It's got to do with the, let's put on record, that the NDC has won the seat twice in a row before, but they did so with different
candidates.
So Kudjodu Asare and Ashimo, they were all from the NDC. They won it back to back, but it was with different personalities.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but if Ramadan is able to do it, then Ramadan has broken the Adentan jinx.
Yeah.
But obviously, they are going to face a lot of challenges with whoever the NPP elects, because the NPP, don't forget, has the voter gap. Ramadan beat the incumbent by over 14,000 votes in Adentan. 63,000 is against 49. So it's a really uphill task. Yeah. But it depends on how the politicking is done. I mean, and Adentan has all shades of people: the high, the low, the mighty, the estates, the slums, so the frafahas. It's mixed. So it depends on how they approach it. And Akosi Amenu will have stiff competition from Baba Tofik and Obinate. That's Mr. Obion Fosu from the Energy Ministry.
Well, let's see how that goes. We'll take a break at this point, and we'll be back from 12 p.m. to continue with our coverage. This is your Election Command Center. Don't go anywhere. Give us just an hour, and we'll be back. Thank you for watching.
You'll ever taste.
Hi, baby.
Hi, Mom.
Hope you're having fun at Granny's.
Yeah, but Grandma doesn't have my favorite top chocolate spread. Hi, Mom. Mommy, please, I missed top chocolate spread on bread.
Tasty too. Made just for you and me. Top choco, it's chocolate choco. It's chocolate choco. It's chocolate choco. Top choco, it's chocolate.
Surprise children!
Yay! It's chocolate choco.
Taste of chocolate. This advert is FDA approved.
How do I look?
You look so gorgeous, Auntie.
Thank you. I hope my date feels the same. Am I not forgetting something?
Yes, obviously. Laura Mimi.
Thank you. Can I use the washroom, please?
Sure. Flora disposable handkerchief.
You obviously aren't using Flora tissues, my dear, because the Flora tissues, they are soft and easy on the skin and they leave no particles.
I hope you had a good time.
I had fun. Thank you for dinner. Are you okay? Do you want to use the washroom? Yeah. Okay, fine.
Hey, broke uncle. I will tell Auntie.
Ah, Fachemi. I just love how it feels.
Everybody say, and then tell me you will hear my, and then tell me my Danica Kayama, but you are day, oh, don't put me to my now. Made up a call, my mother sing me, and then tell me you will hear my, and then tell me you will hear my, all the way, and then tell my Danica Kayama.
show what TV3, but you want you now. TV3 presenter Majesty in the Mabaha. Yama be look at woman in Mosha on your bra. Intinana and Penny Funya Nakasa. Or your ball on some seminar, Mazelo want to way. I share with him, Nets the Malacasa no pay. What's it Sijado? Ashana special one to take. Member cassette to the Bialo, Malabachenitia. And I say, the Wura beat the Pomayanafa. Won't fitchill, I want pipe pay, I want so. What's that Pocomato won't pop to a fresh and why I won't pop. Show me a brother boy, take your personal hygiene. Serious on Yadama, you're Baba, you're betting. This is fine, no medul, now you're strong as Samson. Mamlikin and your mother, so you for do the right thing. Pressure, never, 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 never. Woman, young boy, young won't name to Wallace. Nanasi, or Yobido, young run, half a yashi, on Fahu, then the manager, and I know what I say. Young would there be one run the Dubu got him out my thing. Hey, Papa, in Strobe, yes, out to where you come over. And when you pop America say, what's the day when you would do? Yamana Wabua, Canana, Waha, Kawaha, Bayashi, Dano, and you got the papa. Baby, I say, you should talk about the Afrim, Nanasi, got a chocos, Rawana, I want him. Onyadama, Warren, Tontom Nozaba, Tontom Nozoki, however, Yar Ebenya malaria. Woman, young boy, young horn, and young Pamunia, ya Orucha Sarno on him, then Echilatia, into say, Onyari and Wura, Traneda Umbra, Miss Cray Bessiha, on the other form of ground. Never, 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 never. Never, 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 pressure, never, never, never. Let's go take you high. Take you high.
Are you ready? We're gonna have fun tonight.